Hello everybody, Andy here, and I want to talk to you today about the new 10th edition Datasheets. I printed these myself, that's another video. And how Killteam fits into those. So in case you're not aware, Killteam is a skirmish game of the full-scale game called Warhammer 40,000. We, the kings among men, obviously tend to play Killteam because it's probably the better game. Certainly it's faster, it's cheaper in multiple ways, certainly mental taxation. And I thought maybe, 10th edition's coming out, it might be interesting for a lot of us to see how the models you have in Killteam actually translate over to 40k, because a lot of them now have dedicated data sheets. So we're going to have a quick flick through, see all of the dedicated Killteam data sheets, how they look in 40k, just a quick kind of word about, hey, this is how it might work, this is what that data sheet does over there. And then at the end I'm going to look, if you add up all of your factions ones, so that, like Kassakin, Vet Guard, and then some of the agents of the Imperium, and then if you add in a combat patrol, what does that actually give you in regards to like points, etc. Just so we can see where we stand, because who knows, maybe, certainly if you've picked up every possible option for Space Marines, you have like a 1,500 point army. So you can basically start playing. Okay, with that said, let's jump into it. We want to start off with the first data sheet, which I'm bringing up here. It is the Legionaries. But of course, first, before we get into this, I would like to say that if you're a subscriber to my channel, I'd like to give you a big double hello. Well, wasn't that wholesome, guys? A double hello is a pleasantry given to you twice. Wasn't that lovely? If you want one in the next video, like, subscribe, leave a comment right now. Let's get into it. So, the Legionary are honestly just kind of very solid battle line unit. You can use all of the Killteam kit, so you're not like, oh, I've built it wrong or anything. It's very versatile. It's a very standard troop choice that you're going to use in pretty much every Chaos army. Cool. Talking of Chaos armies, we go to the Blooded. So the Blooded are two data sheets over in 40k. They're the kind of the Enforcer, and then they're also the regular Traitor Guardsmen. These are a relatively cheap squad, and they're just 3 plasmas. There you go, 3 plasmas, stand them on a point, you're done. Great. We then get straight into the Chaos Cults. Now the Chaos Cults are 3 data sheets actually, so we'll have a quick look at all of them. We've got the Dark Commune, who are kind of your characters. We've got the the Cultist Mob, who are, they're not good, but they're really cheap, what you'd expect, I suppose. And then we have the Accursed Cultists. So, what are you doing with those? Not much. They all kind of suck. Like even the Dark Commune they're not good, but they're fun and fluffy. And if you want to run kind of an all mortals cultist style team, faction army in 40k, that is now legal because you have cultist characters, etc., etc. So pretty good. Sticking with the Chaos theme, we go into the Felgor. The Felgor are also not very good. Felgor sits in a very strange place. They're not like super cheap like the Cultist Mob, but they're still not like good stats. So you're taking them for fun and fluff because you want to run Felgor Ravagers. There you go. Sorry. We then go away from Chaos and we get into the Corsairs. So the Corsairs are kind of one of the first fully integrated data sheets because they have a lot of ways you can build them. You can build them as either kind of generic mooks, or you can build them as the actual Killteam squad. So I'm going to assume you've built them as the Killteam squad. So both the Reavers and the Void Reavers and Void Scarred, they're both kind of overpointed for what they do a little bit. However, that's mainly because the Eldar in general seem to have become heavily undercosted. So why would you take these when you could take every good datasheet that is in there? However, The Void Scar specifically, the Kill Team specific loadout, have lethal hits and precision on a blaster and a wraith cannon. Eldor are nuts. So yeah, there you go. So that's totally legit. You can take that and you will kill a character a turn, like one character a turn, pretty much no problem, which is of course very good. As there are some factions in 40k now that basically just run off of having characters lead their squads, which I personally love. I think that's really cool. I really enjoy that because it reminds me of the Dawn of War strategy game. So cool. We then get to the breaches. Now, I'll explain this a little bit more when we get to kind of what you do with the combat patrol. They are agents of the Imperium, so they're not guardsmen, they're not space marines, they're a third faction. I'll talk about it more later. Anyway, the breacher squad, they have the retinue keyword, which works well with Inquisitors, which is good. And they also have a cool one-shot demo charge if you can get them to within 6 inches of the enemy, but they're T3, so you cannot do that. However, we then have the Elucidian Starstriders. Again, this is a datasheet broken down into a kill team broken into 2 datasheets. So we have the guys themselves, and then we also have the Voidsmen. For this one, we want to be looking at this, because talking about not being able to get your breachers to within 6 to be able to do their one kind of cool thing, the Elucidian Starstriders give their infiltration ability to an attached unit, and we see on the datasheet there that they can be attached to breachers, and that is how you're going to get your guys to within 6 inches to throw your demo mine with the breachers. Super cool. That's gonna wreck somebody's day, whether it's a character or probably a vehicle. So actually, not too bad. But they have to, yeah, okay. They also have a redeploy, which is cool, and they have the character keyword. So if you want to run an actual rogue trader instead of an inquisitor, they exist, which is super nice. We then get to the exaction squad. Now there are 3 types of exaction squad. You could have built the exaction squad, hold on, which one's that? No, wait for it. The exaction squad, who, so this is the actual kill team. They're not good. Yeah, they're a little bit overcosted, and they don't, although it's cool that they have lots of like things, those things only seem to really work in kill team, and they don't really work in 40k, unfortunately. We then have the Vigilant Squad, who are the guys that have shotguns. So if you don't want all of the different profiles, which by the way, if you're playing 40k for the first time, a highly customized kill team isn't necessarily the most smooth a squad can be. So you'll have one squad of 10 men who will each have 10 different rolls of attacks to make. It's really going to slow the game down. Whereas, for example, if you just had 10 intercession who all have the same gun, it's very fast to make that attack. So just keep that in mind. But Vigilance, it's not very good, unfortunately. Yeah, sorry. And then the Subductors, who are all of the shield guys from the Exaction Squad, if you want to build them that way. And again, not really very good, unfortunately. Yeah. Or if they are, I don't know 40k well enough to kind of be able to say, this is how you'd use them. We then come to, wait for it, the Farstalkers. So this is your Kroot squad, which is, without a doubt, the best looking, like a real glow up for the Kroot, let's be honest. Great to see them. However, they are strictly worse than just taking a big ball of regular Kroot. They're more expensive, and again, there are so many weapon options within the one squad. It doesn't really make sense to take this squad for the one weapon that can do the one good thing. There is another datasheet in the Tau Empire that you can use to do that instead. So, yeah, bit of a shame, we then get, this doesn't exist. I put this here just to make myself upset, because why isn't there a Gaunt's Ghost kill team? Absolutely insane. Okay, anyway, whatever. We then get the Inquisitorial Agents. So this is just kind of a fluffy Inquisitor bodyguard. I don't think they're good, but whatever. That kind of summarizes, honestly, most of Agents of the Imperium. Outside of the Inquisitors or the Assassins, their regular dudes aren't very super duper cool. Or they're super duper cool, but they're not super duper good. So a little bit hard to know when you'd put them in. We go to the Intercession. Of course, the Intercession, I've kind of assumed that you would have bought a box of the Intercession and a box of the Assault Intercessors. So, yeah. The two sheets can be kind of... So the Space Marine lineup, all of their data sheets, there's like 150 billion data sheets just within the Space Marines. And so if you want something that charges the enemy, there is probably a better melee datasheet now. And if you want something that sits back and shoots the enemy, there is probably a better Space Marine datasheet now than these two datasheets. Because that tends to be how the Space Marine cycle works. They always make the latest set of releases kind of the best and the ones you want. Same as Stormcast in Age of Sigmar, right? They give you the new wave and they make sure that that's the wave you should be playing, that edition. So these guys are last editions Marines, so they're not kind of the most hyper-optimized, but they're still Marine bodies and they will absolutely mince through anything that is like a standard human profile. We then get the Veteran Guardsmen. Now the Vet Guard are obviously the Death Corps of Krieg models. They're fine, they're guard, they're gonna die if they get looked at a little bit too hard, but of all the guard that could get looked at a little bit too hard, Death Corps are the ones you want to be looked at a little bit too hard from across the room. However, minor note, the Veteran Guardsman kill team is exemplified on the board by the Death Corps of Krieg, because those are the models we're buying. However, the term Veteran Guardsman used to be a squad in older editions of 40k that were just a bunch of dudes who could take more special weapons. And so what they would do, for tactics-wise, is you drop them in from a Valkyrie perhaps, and they would have 5 melters in the squad, shoot those melters, and then immediately die. And that was how you used a Veteran Guardsman kill team, a Veteran Guardsman squad in 40k. That squad, called Veteran Guardsman, is now no longer in the game. So, interestingly, the term Veteran Guardsman for the kill team released when that was still a squad and that was what you were replicating. But now it's just, you would just use the Death Corps of Krieg. There you go. Which takes us to the Kassakin. So the Kassakin, they just have special weapons and a melter bomb. They're pretty cool. Yep. Like all guard, they're relatively low points costs, even though these are the elite of the elite, because they're, what are they? They're still T3. They're going to be wiped off the board by just regular intercessor bolt fire. Much like I said, intercession kind of suck, unless you're shooting into a regular human. You can still mince through regular dudes. We get to commandos. Some of the best models out there, let's be honest. However, they kind of just infiltrate, which is something that orcs don't have a huge amount of, and they have mortal wounds, but otherwise you just kind of hide, I guess. Which is a little bit difficult with a 10-man, well, it can be 5-man, but you have 10 models. With a 10-man, what are they called? Well, they can't be 5-man. With a 10-man 32mm base squad. Good luck cramming all of them into one small ruin, right? We then get novitiates. Novitiates are an interesting one in 40k. Their role seems to have changed, I would argue, a little bit with 10th edition, but basically they can just be 10 power weapons. Job done. Great. Awesome. However, sisters in general seem to be a little bit on the lower end of the power scale, so who knows, right? But in theory, you stick a missionary in them, and you have 10 power weapons, and you just go kill stuff. And then they die, most likely, and generate you a faith point. We then go, we're almost there. We then go to the Pathfinder kill team. So the Pathfinder kill team, I debated for quite a while about whether or not to include these next two data sheets, because these are some of the data sheets that are, they came to kill team from 40k, as opposed to the others which have gone from kill team to 40. Wait, I said that. The other data sheets came from kill team and went to 40k, therefore they don't always fit in brilliantly. Whereas Pathfinders and the next one, Phobos, came from 40k and have gone into kill team, so they are kind of already established about how you would use them. Arguably the same for commanders a little bit, but commanders, no, I take that back. Commanders are awesome. So Pathfinders, they infiltrate and they are spotters. There you go, that's it. Due to the way points work in 10th now, you can fully kit these guys out with all the cool special weapons that you would use in kill team. Hence, it should probably be included in this list as well. You should do that. They have some cool weapons, but really, due to some of the mechanics in Tau now, these guys move up and they spot, and then I believe they can still move, and that's like their funky thing. So you put them out in danger and then run away. Classic Tau, if you will. Then we get the Phobos. Now, I have obviously, so in kill team we have the Phobos kill team. If you've gone all out and you've bought infiltrators, incursors and reavers, you have a very, I think if you have a very large army. But obviously the actual kill team, I'm going to pretend you haven't bought reavers, although that's a mistake, but you've just bought the Phobos kill team, and then you can build it either as just 10 infiltrators or 5 infiltrators and 5 incursors. Doesn't really matter, they essentially do the same thing. This is just you infiltrate, you move up quickly, you get a forward deploy. There you go. Not much else to say about them, really. But you know, they're still Space Marine wounds on a point, so you really can't complain about them. They do what they do. Okay, now with that done, we have a mid, well, hopefully we're past mid, that was just a lot of words I had to say. Let's get into the different points. So, bam. If you go out and buy the Chaos, so basically, let's quickly run down what I'm trying to say with this little section. You're a kill team fanatic, like me, welcome to the fold. And you've gone out and you happen to have all of the kill teams for this specific faction, okay? Or just all of them in general, whatever. And you want to know what you can do with those. Well, you've just had the quick rundown of all the individual data sheets, but let's be honest, that's not enough to run a 40k game, and we know that, and that's fine. The point of Kill Team is that it is smaller and less intensive and investiture required than 40k. Cool. So, we accept that we are going to have to buy more models. Honestly, the best place to get started for 40k is the Combat Patrol. For whatever your faction is, I've thought about doing a full how to get started in 40k. The answer is always just buy the Combat Patrol. Yeah. Not only now does the Combat Patrol have its own format where you can play just the Combat Patrol, but as you go into a 1,000 point, 1,500 or 2,000 point game, we can add our kill teams onto that Combat Patrol. So you start with the Combat Patrol game, and then you add your kill teams, and what do you get? Well, that's me answering this. So first up, if you take the Chaos Marines Combat Patrol, and you take all of the data sheets here, which is way too many, so it's the Blooded, who are the Traitor Guardsmen, the Traitor Guardsmen Enforcers, you see them there. The Felgor, if you have all of the Chaos ones, you end up with 1,210 points. So your individual data sheets are roughly the same points cost as your Combat Patrol. So you just add those bad boys together, you're not doing too bad, you know, like you're not far off. Where do you go from there? I mean, you've got a very interesting list, let's be clear. I'm not saying these are good lists, but you've just got to fill out 800 points, 750 points, really. How do you do that? Throw in some tanks. I don't know. I don't know 10th. Cool. Either way, I'm just kind of pointing out the points. You get 1,210 points all in. We then go to Agents of the Imperium. Agents of the Imperium, in case you don't know, is a faction in 40k 10th that can be run entirely on its own. Okay, so that's your Breachers, your Eleutherian Star Striders, all of the weird ones, your Navy Breachers, etc., etc. However, they are not the most cohesive force, and then they're not really considered a full force and army that should be run, perhaps. So what you would normally do is you would take some of these guys and put them into another faction, Imperium faction, because there are rules in 40k that allow you to take Agents of the Imperium, which is their faction keyword, as you see on the data sheets, and you can run a quarter of your army, basically, as Agents of the Imperium. So if you're running a 2,000 point game, you can take 500 points of Agents of the Imperium. So this could be, you know, basically, I view these guys as, how can you be cool, fun and fluffy? Do you want to run 3 exaction squads and just say, oh look, I've got my space FBI with me, and oh, they brought an Inquisitor. Cool, you can do that. And they can go along with your Imperial Guard or your Knights or your whatever. However, Agents of the Imperium are not a true faction, and so they do not have their own combat patrol. If you recall, they did have a boarding patrol, but those aren't combat patrols. Those are limited boxes. They no longer exist. We then get to the Imperial Guard. So this is only the Kassakin and the Vet Guard. Is that right? Yeah, it is. So alongside, they have a very low points value combat patrol. So with it all in, you're only sitting at 615. I did assume that you would have 20 Vet Guard on this. So you're at like 180 points instead of 90, or no, you're at 120 points instead of 65, something like that. The combat patrol was actually really nice for Imperial Guard, but not very points heavy. This would give you lots of stuff, by the way, because in the combat patrol, I think you get 20 Cadians, plus you'd have your 20 Decock. Don't know why I shortened that. Death Corps of Krieg, plus you'd have 10 Kassakin, plus you'd have 2 field ordnance batteries and a Sentinel. Oh, and another 5 Cadians in the command squad. Like, oh my god, you're at 50 models. That's crazy. We then go to the Space Marines. Now, there's been a little bit of guesswork here in terms of... No, that's not right, sorry. So I've assumed that you would have what I've already shown you, which is a Phobos team, which is just a 10-man squad. However, whether you've built it as 5 incursors, 5 infiltrators, 10 incursors, 10 infiltrators, doesn't matter. They're the same points cost, which is 90, I think. Is that right? Yeah, that is right, for 5, but you've got 10. And then you have, I must have put 5 intercessors and 5 assault intercessors. And then the combat patrol you'll be getting for this, I believe, is the assumed one that's coming out soon, which is going to be basically half of what you get in Leviathan. So it's 5 Infernus dudes, 5 Terminators, and a Librarian and a Terminator Captain. And that gives you that, which is cool. That again, pretty healthy force, sitting at 890 points. Not as good as the Chaos, but not bad. You then go to the Orcs. The Orcs Combat Patrol, honestly, you get a lot of stuff in there. But not everybody's super happy with it because you get the Monopose Boys Squad, which turns out to be a bit weird, if I'm honest. I think you get 5 shooters and 5 slugger choppers. It's definitely not the optimal way to build a boys squad. You really want to go all shooters or all slugger choppers. The models look amazing though, to be clear. I absolutely love the Orc range, the new ones they've done. But there you go. And Commandos are actually, I think, a pretty good fit into, like, as an addition to that. But, you know, it gives you a way to infiltrate, so it's nice. We then get to the Eldar Combat Patrol. Now, only Only the Void Scarred here. I assumed that all you would add is the Corsair's Void Scarred. You wouldn't go out and buy, you know, 2 Corsair boxes so you get both the Void Scarred and a full rostering kill team where you could also build all of the regular dudes. So yeah, this would be a lethal combat patrol, and these guys being in that little army of yours just allows you to like destroy any characters. Really good, really good. How could you get to 1,000 points from here? Just buy like 3 squads of Wraithguard. You're laughing, mad. Oh, wait, we're at 680? Hold on, 320 off the top of my head is exactly the cost of a Wraith Knight. Amazing. That is crazy, actually. And then finally we get to, oh no, not finally, I apologise. The Adeptus Sororitas, they have a cool looking combat patrol. You get quite a bit in there. Weird squad sizes, but fine. Just easy to take off the board. But then if you add some novitiates in there, you know, a few more bodies, pretty helpful for them. It does seem that Sisters aren't currently kind of the best in regards to, you know, where they're sitting. They're probably just above Death Guard and Admech, it seems, but they don't seem to be super good, so some more bodies probably going to help you there. And then, finally, the Tau Combat Patrol, where of course we have Pathfinders and we have the Farstalkers alongside the Combat Patrol, 685 points. I've got to be honest, I was surprised the Combat Patrol was so low in points cost. So these are 2 good additions. A spotter unit plus an infiltrator, like plus 2 infiltrators. Yeah, you're doing just fine. And then how are you bumping up to 1,000 on that? Probably just like 2 squads of Crisis Suits or a Riptide or something. It's gonna sort you out, no problem there, mate. Trust me. Okay, well, hey, we've gotten to the end of it. So I would like to say if you're a subscriber to my channel, I'd like to give you a big triple hello. Wow, wasn't that wholesome? Guys, thank you so much for watching until the end of the video. If you have indeed, well, if you're hearing this, you have indeed watched till the end of the video. I'm currently just you know, my channel might be a bit all over the place at the moment. It's just because I just want my channel to just be things I'm excited about, which right now is 10th because 10th is coming. You know, when the next Kill Team box drops, I'm going to be hyped for that as well. And I'm still playing Kill Team, to be clear, because it's still a hell of a lot faster and easier to play than 40k, let me tell you that. Even though I've most recently played 40k, it's an endeavour. You know, it's fun. There's a lot of fun to be had in and out of the game of 40k, but it is a mission. I don't know how people could ever play it competitively, to be honest with you. Anyway, coming soon is, because I'm not quite done with them, but how to print your own data cards for index cards. You know, the reason I'm doing this is because these are obviously going to be many people's codexes for the next 2 years. And we know that the index cards GW is going to sell already have typos or are going to be updated soon. Hope, fingers crossed, right? So that's awkward. So we're going to have to figure out how to make our own because GW is not going to do it for us. You can, of course, stay digital. However, in playing 40k, I have found that there's kind of nothing more useful than just putting your data card next to the unit. I'm not saying you're always going to have to do that, but to learn the game, that absolutely mandatory. Anyway, guys, if you made it to the end of the video, thank you so much. Genuinely, nothing helps more than just watching the whole damn chan. All right. Well, thank you very much. Let me know what your thoughts are on something. Bye.